Hi, so today I'm just going to talk about something that just started to bother me today. I've tried contacting the juvenile instructor, which I mentioned a lot in my earlier videos. I took some of them down because I didn't think they were pertinent anymore. There are a lot of things I didn't know since I didn't have the photograph. I didn't have much of a reason to study that much about history of photography, but once I had it and it was on its way, I knew it was a Carta Vista. I didn't know that until I bought the picture. And because when I looked at this website, this is what I was analyzing, and it was just painful. I think I still just hate it. I just hate how mean they are to this guy that they call G. I don't know this guy, other than I have communicated with him because I bought the picture from him. It bothered me so much last year because I was sure that they convinced him it wasn't him, and they kind of did. They put a lot of doubt into him. I was able to buy it. I wouldn't know about it if this website didn't exist. So I have to state, as I do in here, I have to be somewhat grateful for this, but there's a lot of anger and just inaccuracies. And so I'm writing an open letter asking them to retract it. Because they've got at least 3 things completely just wrong. They call it a daguerreotype. And my picture is... Daguerreotypes came out on metal and were housed. I'll show you what one looks like here. And I've got several pages of research here. And Lucian Foster, I have seen these images that the Church History Department say that they really think is Lucian Foster's that look very soft and grainy and ethereal looking. That's what saltwater prints looked like that existed since the 1830s. So there's Willard Richards. But later in his life, he gets a daguerreotype done. And they always came housed in these special cases because they got damaged very easily. They were metal, okay? And you can see this actually came out very crisp and clear. And so those were more popular, in the 1840s. But paper photography existed. It came out softer and less clear, and it was cheaper. But they did exist, and a lot of people don't get that. And you can see from this picture of Brigham Young, it's all scratched up. I mean, that's definitely on a metal plate there, okay? So one thing wrong, they're stating that my image is a daguerreotype. It is not. But other things that and there's a lot of bullying on this juvenile instructor webpage. They call the guy a crank. They call him a fool. And they name call him through the comments like crazy. It's just so unkind. It is very cruel to this guy. And it's embarrassing to me. You're saying the juvenile instructor, organ of Latter-day Scholars, and Latter-day, I'm a Latter-day Saint. And I left a comment once just showing a link to my website being like, hi, sorry, I think you guys were wrong. Not only about, I really believe this is Joseph Smith, but you also have a lot of inaccuracies on this blog post from 2009. I didn't know about this till 2016, doesn't matter, but 2009, long time ago. But, if you Google Joseph Smith, this is going to come up. And there's just so much negativity. I think it's just very, very sad, and they're very cruel to the guy. I don't think this woman today said I was promulgating lies. And she didn't expound on it. It was just like, I don't know, and she was connected to this, and I won't say her name because I don't care to. I don't want to shame her. I did mention that I wished people would apologize to this guy. I think it's completely unnecessary to name call him and call him such horrible things. But yeah, I've talked to him, and he does definitely collect old photos. I've bought 2 pictures from him. They're legitimately old photos. They're real. I have videos of me holding my paper photograph. But then they also start talking about Kim Marshall at the end. They don't use her name. But they inaccurately call her he several times, and they also inaccurately state that she's claiming to have the original Daguerreotype. She actually has a cabinet card. And so she does talk about how she thinks, I give a link to her blog. I've read a lot of her blog because she did such a good job on here. Because, there's no doubt her image is of Joseph Smith. It's just the controversy with her is because Joseph Smith III, I give links to that scholarly article where he has written a letter to the Salt Lake Tribune when he's like 80 years old. And he sends them, and he says that he's sending the Salt Lake Tribune a print of a painting. Like he took a photograph of a painting. The painting was based on a daguerreotype. He writes a very long letter describing this, being very honest. And so she talks about how she thinks that she has a reprint on paper. She never claims at all to have a daguerreotype. Okay, so they have that wrong. And just kind of go into some of these, they call him a crank, you fool, you jewel, you dunderhead. And, to them, you might kind of, with a family member, maybe you'll just walk up to them and they know you and maybe you're joking, but when someone writes this and they read it, it can be very, very hurtful. And it's very clear that the guy was hurt on the Juvenile Instructor. I will tell you that he is not mainstream Latter-day Saint. He's not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ, as far as I know. I know he has connections with some break-off group. He has connections to the Community of Christ. I had actually contacted them as I was researching this because I saw him talking about, it's quite clear that he has a family member that's a member of the Community of Christ because she's a woman and she's on the High Council. But he sold a lot of pictures to a guy in California, which I find really interesting. I would love to find that person. But they also make fun of them. Make fun of their intelligence. They make fun of this guy's grammar and spelling and intelligence. And you definitely could do that with my website. I find typos all the time. And I'm like, I beg family to look through mine to try to find the spelling errors and help me fix it. But I'm just not perfect, but neither was Joseph Smith. He had some grammar problems, but then you scroll down here there's by your grammar we shall know you. So because this guy spells some things wrong and has bad grammar, he can't find the photograph of Joseph Smith, but I think he did. And even back then, before I owned it, I found this all a little bit humorous, but just so sad. But now it just makes me sick. Like I've asked a few times for them to retract it. I'm asking them again. This is a link to Kim Marshall's page. Kim Marshall is not a he. Kim Marshall is not claiming to have a daguerreotype. I have a photograph that is not a daguerreotype. It is not housed in glass. It is not metal. Okay? So they just have a lot of things that are inaccurate. They're bullying. They're name-calling. Just take it down. Please. I'm just asking that. Either way, you can all just know where I stand and don't be shocked if a well-known supposed Mormon scholar starts talking bad about my picture because I emailed them and asked them to be nice and apologize to that guy. I know it didn't go well. So that's probably coming. And I know as more people find out about this, I'm going to get more criticism. But the people that, I won't say names, but I know a professor of a college he is the head of the art department. He is a well-known, really good artist, is going to do, or wants to do a painting of my picture. I know it won't look exactly like this, but as an artist, he sees it, as another professor. I've talked to a couple art professors. They see these things. I've had a lot of support there. But the church history department is where it gets a little, because I have a lot of them that have put their reputation online for the scandal daguerreotype and stuff like that. And sorry, I'm scrolling through this page, but it's so fascinating things I found out about the photographic artist. And Jess Bibbins always said photographer. He died in Plano, Illinois. He died in the same city not long, I mean, around the time that Joseph Smith III was living in Plano for like 20, 30 years. They both lived in Kennel County. There were a lot of members in Newark, even when Joseph Smith was alive. J.S. Bibbins was in his 20s in the 1840s. So, I don't know. I still think it's a reprint. Maybe he did do the original. Maybe it was Lucien Foster. But Emma Smith knew J.S. Bibbins' father. I mean, Elisha Bibbins, she knew him personally. I've done his family history. I've worked really hard on this. I think both of these probably were always paper photographs. It's really probable this is a reprint. See, this is paper. You can't call this a daguerreotype because it's not. Okay? So, again, juvenile instructor, just, you claim to care a lot about honesty and truth, and I will tell you I'm not a liar. So if you accuse me of that, you're not going to hear the end of me. So yeah, this is a whole page dedicated to wanting the juvenile instructor to go ahead and just retract this, because there's no point to have a very hateful blog that has a lot of inaccuracies on it still up. I think you'll feel better at the last day. Anyway,